Let me welcome to the stage someone I'm really intrigued with her role, because I am someone who believes in team being things sometimes and how you think about innovation, how do you shake it up, the government's role. And Alicia Jackson, Dr. Alicia Jackson is the director of the Advanced Research Projects Agency for Health, ARPA-H. Alicia, it's great to see you. I'm gonna give you a hug. Great to see you. Thank you so much for joining us. Big round of applause for Alicia. And, you know, how do I start? I've always been a fan of DARPA and the Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency. So many cool things have come out over the years from DARPA, probably stuff that if we told you, we'd have to be killed or something, you know, because they work in so many classified areas as well. And then I was very familiar, and I remember interviewing Elon Musk at an ARPA-E forum with then Secretary of Energy Stephen Chu. And there were, 4,000 people in the hall, all of whom were kind of entrepreneurs in the energy space that were kind of connected and trying to figure out where we're going. It was incredibly impressive. And then ARPA-H gets created. You and I talked about it around the holidays. And I realized, wow, you have a problem because you have maybe the most bureaucratized ARPA in government. That was my view, right? Is that unfair?
That is unfair.
That is unfair.
Yeah.
But you were on the mission to change that.
Yes.
So tell us how during your tenure, you've changed, and that's what I was looking at the beginning point.
Yeah.
And how you have real interesting theories on what needs to be done to unstifle innovation.
Yes. So as you said, I got to spend 5+ years at DARPA, which is really the crown jewel of the US innovation entire economy, I would say, and especially for the government. And what really makes it able to develop the breakthroughs that we've seen, everything from obviously the internet, but also GPS, stealth technology, has to do with how it's structured. It is tiny. When I was there were about 100 program managers. Those are the ones actually running the programs, and about 100 feds. That's it.
Yeah.
Managing $3+ billion.
No, it's the best ROI on personnel in government, right?
It's incredible. And the only way it works is it doesn't really have very much bureaucracy. It isn't allowed. And part of that is because when you don't have a lot of people, you can't have a lot of bureaucracy.
Right.
Number one. There's other mechanisms as well. And so after I left, I said, the only way I ever come back to government is for DARPA. And at that point, ARPA-H hadn't existed. I left, I built 2 companies from the ground up, had that entire startup experience, so know what it is to do a lot on very little dollars. And then I got the call to go to ARPA-H. And I said, sign me up, absolutely. I can't imagine anything more worthy, which is working to actually develop breakthrough technologies in the area of health and biotech. And I can't imagine a space that needs it more than ever, where we have so much basic research funding. We have giant companies, but there's a huge chasm where you hear about a breakthrough, you read about it in the newspaper, and it's 20+ years till you might even see it in the clinic. And we don't have that time to wait. And so I said, sign me up, I'm going there. I understand what the structure is. I understand how to run this. Came right in, and you are right, it was bureaucratic. It turns out—
No, you and I talked about it.
It was, you are correct.
Yeah,
but,
I think you said something, I've got more bureaucrats than doctors or something like that.
Yeah, so we can replay history a little bit, but basically when it was launched, because it was launched within HHS, they staffed it from other parts of HHS.
Right.
Which tends to be a little bureaucratic, as one might imagine. There's some HHS people here, sorry. Yeah. Truth is hard. Truth is hard. Everybody's working on this, right? And I will say in our first 3 months, we actually decreased the number of people we had. First thing to do is to really lean it in, which is what's our mission? Who do we need to achieve that mission? And that's it. And so interestingly enough, since we've made those cuts, since we've made our focus very clear, breakthroughs in years, not decades, focusing on 3 big priorities: China and the biotech race, longevity and reversing aging, and then defeating devastating diseases. We've moved, I think, faster than the agency has ever moved, which is, kind of mind-bending for people, I think, who've been in government, which is you can actually significantly reduce. We've reduced 30%.
Wow.
And yet we move faster at this point.
Have you seen a change in whatever you consider to be your achievement outputs?
Yes, very much so.
What can you share with us?
So we've had a really big focus on commercialization and translation. So there was even the New York Times loves us, which is great. But we have an incredible program, Nitro, which is looking to actually cure osteoarthritis, cure it. Right now, you need joint replacements, you get metal, and then you're done. There's no real solution here. And so we had an incredible program manager, former military, very bright, who said, I think this is going to be possible through an injection to regrow both bone and cartilage. And he has now proven that that is true. Everyone told him this is impossible. Investors told him we're never going to invest in a company like this. We made the front page of the New York Times, that we can actually, with one shot, regrow both bone and cartilage.
What's been the most frustrating goal you had that you may still be going after? But I'm just sort of interested in, I've talked to the previous head of DARPA before Stephen Winchell, and she came in and she said, and this was an on the record thing, she said when she first came in, that their success rate was too high, that what she needed to do was to raise, lower that success rate, increase, we're thinking about bold bets here. Yep. She said we weren't taking bold enough bets, people covering their tail ends, they were afraid of failing, we needed a different culture. And so I'm interested, when we're thinking about bold bets and the kinds of things you're doing, how do you manage that success and, I would say, failure or not quite there rate?
Yes, I would say that's a top challenge for any ARPA, and especially for any ARPA director, which is how do you encourage your people to take these massive swings? And part of it is, one, is this individual built to do that, right? Not everyone is built to be an entrepreneur and take that kind of risk. Not everyone is meant to be an ARPA PM and to be able to have that stomach and that grit to be able to go after the big things. So I show up and I had a program manager, fairly new, come in. He had been under the last admin and said, hey, I'm really close on this program. I want to be able to improve bone marrow transplants. I said, well, that's nice. That sounds worthy, valuable. I said, but the real way to think about this problem is, why are we doing something as archaic as bone marrow transplants to begin with? Is that really how we'd solve this problem, given all the advances that we have today? Could we think about something totally crazy like rejuvenating the immune system? Would we be able to do way more then? And so it's really having to help people understand we're not looking for a 10% improvement, we're looking for a 10x or 100x improvement. And the way that you manage that is multifold. Number one, you name the biggest technical risks up front. So anytime somebody comes and pitches us internally, they basically come to a star chamber with the leadership, and they pitch their idea, and the first things we ask is, what's really hard about this? What are the biggest challenges? Not because we're scared of them, but we need to know what those are. Number two, is there anything in the laws of physics or laws of biology that prevent us from solving those challenges? And number three, you better be funding these up front. We need to see these in the first year to know, is this a go or a no-go? And as long as you have a great plan for attacking those, we're cool and groovy with it.
Now, are you getting funded at the degree you need to be funded?
I always support the president's budget. I've been very grateful. The Hill has been incredible supporters. Both the Senate and the House. The last couple of years, we've gotten $1.5 billion, and we've been able really to expand and do some of the really big initiatives that we've wanted to be.
What if you had $5 billion?
The limiting factor, so this is an interesting story. So Tony Tether, former director of DARPA, think about a legacy. You're running this incredible organization. You're just doing breakthrough after breakthrough. Congress came to him and said, you only got $3 billion. I want to give you $9 billion. He said, no way. Don't give it to me. What works at $3 billion will not work at $9 billion because you need to scale the org so large.
So maybe you need $3 billion.
We would know, here's what I'll say. We absolutely know what we're doing with $3 billion.
Know what you're doing. So one of the things I'm interested in is the economics of all of this. And one of the things that I find to be backwards about the US government, Congress, scoring things, is the inability to project decrease in costs with success. So we have Lily here today. So they're working on GLP, and I've talked to Dr. Oz and a lot of other folks about the net health benefits in reducing comorbidities, reducing, you basically reduce obesity across the board, and we clearly see a wave coming through the country. It's very, very hard to begin, as you're kind of looking forward at the cost of healthcare? What you're doing is in the breakthrough medicines you have right now. Right now, you get no reward showing in the projections of the cost of healthcare to showing how you're changing the cost curve there. Doesn't that suck?
It makes our job more challenging,
Yeah.
for sure. It makes our job more challenging because we believe we should be judged on results. Number one, are we focusing on the right things? Number two, results. We're an outcomes-based organization, and so we need to be judged on our results. And so until those come true, it's much harder. I mean, we have milestones along the way. We have an incredible company, VaxCo, put $20 million in 2 years ago. Stealth company just announced was acquired by Eli Lilly for $1.5 billion. They were working on incredible viruses like West Nile, dengue. We also had them working on herpes virus, which we know is now linked to many neurodegenerative diseases. And so I think those kind of outcomes really speak to our judgment, which is we funded them on a high-risk project to go after these viral families.
Alicia, is there a you in China?
Is there a you in China?
Meaning a you, meaning like a you directing an ARPA-H-like crowd in China?
No. Partially because the thing that makes our agency work, more than money, the thing that makes us work is autonomy. I will take more autonomy any day rather than a $10 billion budget. And a top-down will not work because you only know what the breakthroughs are by really going out and scouring the world and hearing the new ideas and putting people together. And if it's top-down, you're not going to get that. You're going to miss the internet. You're going to miss stealth technology. You're going to miss GPS.
How do you interface with the private sector? So when I mentioned ARPA-E, which is the energy part, the energy mimicry of DARPA, and I guess there's also an ARPA in the intelligence community, ARPA-IC. I met the head of that the other day. So do you ever get together for like little weekend?
We did.
Oh, you did?
It was very fun.
Who's your favorite?
Oh, you're asking me to choose between a variety of incredible.
Yeah, so ARPA-E, I mean, there were literally thousands. When I did this Elon Musk, there were thousands. This was years ago, and he was, Elon Musk, you may not know it, in one of his first business ventures, did the kind of media, the print to digital interface for the internet. And he put the New York Times online, and I wonder if, he was still cool with that. But I think one of the interesting things is there were thousands of people out there that are innovators in every dimension of, next generation energy widgets of some sort. Do you have that kind of interface with the business side of healthcare innovators? How do you do that? What's that?
Yeah.
How do you inject some of what you're doing or learn from them and bringing in from what some of they're doing into what you're doing?
I mean, one of the unique things is we don't just fund academics. A huge portion of people who are getting funding from us are the biotech innovators. So whether it's the 2-person startup, the 10-person, the 50-person, 100-person, half of our job is to go find those folks at the earliest stages who are doing interesting things and give them the capital to catapult forward. And our entire job is to go find them, to let them know that we're here, how to work with us, make it easy. All of our awards are contract-based. We try to award as quickly as possible. I mean, we understand startups are busy, they don't have enough people, and so we need to make it as easy to interface with us as possible, and also, yes, learn from them.
And how is, things seem to be changing at a breakneck speed technologically. Like I begin, reading about, new developments every week. Yeah. And we purposely brought into this conference today folks that are not traditional parts of the healthcare ecosystem, like Rory Kelleher of NVIDIA is coming up next, right? I've got Google people. I was, reaching out, as I mentioned, to Dario Gil, who's at DOE, because I said, look, you guys sit on a lot of assets and supercomputers that are, very valuable in the health space. When I interviewed former Secretary Rick Perry, he said, we do a lot outside the energy space. I'm interested in de-siloing that. So in the spirit of that, what are some of the big things in AI, which is sort of a blobbish term? AI has become, everybody talks about AI, but the pieces of AI that become game changers in the research and innovation space you're in?
Yeah, one of the most exciting projects that we have is a program called Catalyst. And what it imagines is being able to basically run all preclinical studies in silico. And so that not only you understand the safety and the tox profile, but you can actually do prediction of what's going to make it through the human trials. And we are working with Los Alamos National Labs and other very large companies with AI capabilities, because the amount of data you have to compute to take the animal studies and figure out how those map to what's going to happen in humans.
So you're able to predict what you think is going to make it through.
Yes.
Does that then create a change in methodology and cost for clinical trials?
Yes.
Insanely absurd.
That is a huge focus of ours, is not only bringing down costs, but increasing speed, increasing predictability, right? And so that is a huge focus for us. And if we can do that, we're saving $20 to $25 million up front and 18 months up front. And so we have a huge focus on every part of the clinical trial pathway, from before to after. What are the parts we can speed up?
If you come back, I hope you do a year from now. I hope you come back many more times than before a year. But if you come back in a year from now, is there anything you would like to share with us that you would like to have solved 12 months from now?
That I would like to have solved 12 months from now.
In the health innovation space.
Yes, I think we have some really innovative ideas on clinical trial networks, and especially upskilling research-naive sites. So it's very, very difficult to recruit patients to clinical trials today. Academic medical centers tend to be where they're taking place, but there's tons of community health centers, other facilities that aren't running those clinical trials. And if we can give them basically the technology, almost like what's called an investigator-initiated trial in a box package, we can get them all spun up, and suddenly our clinical trial capacity expands massively.
So look, I just want you all to know, because we've got a room full of influential people, that she didn't ask for it, but I think she ought to get $3 billion. That's the takeaway from today.
Thank you.
Dr. Alicia Jackson, director of ARPA-H, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much.
Great to see you.